Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Oh boy, we got a good show for you tonight. I hope my speaker is working. But anyway, we're going to be doing the alien interview. Appreciate each and every one of you for showing up tonight. Doing a real live. I'll put it that way. How's that? We're going to do the live, or maybe we should do it this way. Oh, anyway, we have the alien interview, and I managed to find the PDF for this. And if you don't know what it is, it's this book right here. And me and Delabar, we went through this book yesterday. It seems to be a great book. I hope you got it. And there we go. Dominic Spirato, thank you for coming. Probably mispronounced that name. I'm a really tongue-tied twister. Anyway, S. Lee's in the house, smacking the thumbs up. Bam! I got my ears on. So do I. Woo, 2 of them all day long. Anyway, we're going to be doing the alien interview, and I have a PDF so you can follow along. And if you want the PDF, I can send it to you. So just hit me up for that, or you can go on eBay, Amazon. You can buy this book yourself, have it to read. It's about yay thick. It's a good read. It's not all that heavy duty, but it is all there. And if you want to participate and join me, let me know. Send me an email, and we'll have you on. We can go with the flow on this book. I would love to have somebody to read with. I used to get old Isby to come on every now and then and do a book like this, but he has passed on. So good fortune to him. He's on the other side, and I hope he's listening. I found this topic yes, Aturian Sun. I found this topic very interesting for others. Yes, and myself too. Sunday night. Yes, Sunday night live, and we're live. I was going to make a recording, but it's better live. Like I said, if anybody wants to come on and help me read this, I do have the PDF. I will send you a PDF. And but tonight I got the book and I got the PDF, and I'm going to start out with that. And we will be back hopefully several times this week coming up. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is native. Oh, no, I'll be back tomorrow doing the alien interview tomorrow. And then Tuesday night is our normal Native American myths and legends, and I hope you join me there with me and David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. So with that, let's just get right into it, because it is Sunday, and I don't know if you were on looking at Nina the Mystic. She had a tape from R. Wayne Steiger and her Wednesday show there, which is now going to be a Monday show. But anyway, thank you for Wayne, who introduced me to this book right here, The Alien Interview. And it sparked my interest. He started it. We read maybe a half a dozen chapters through it. And then, like always, it caught my interest, and I went out and bought the book because I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to finish it and get to the end. And hopefully we will get to the end too, because that's just how we do it here. All right. Lucky Stone's in the house. Turian Sun. Thank you. And let's see. I got to do the presentation. Let's see how this is going to turn out. Entire screen. Okay. And here we go. Alien interview. Oh, I was so lucky to find this PDF. Okay, alien interview. Based on a personal notes and interview with transcriptions provided by Matilda O'Donnell McElroy. Editing and supplemental footnotes by Lawrence R. Spencer, author of Oz Factors. Now, people, after we discuss this, maybe some of the names of peoples and places have changed. Maybe this isn't, totally, spot on, but you know how they do things. Yes, due respect this old news. Glad others are. Let's see. Let's do this. See this. We can do that. See. Anyway, good day. That you're right. You're right on. It's old news, but sometimes old news is still good news. We're going to skip over the disclaimer because it basically says, editor contained their complete original form. Representative editor is no longer in possession of any original documents or copies or original documents of the author. So if they lost any of it, well, he had to make the rest up. Table of contents, forward. This was kind of good, the forward. We ask, as fools who know not our own spirit, where are hidden traces left by the gods? That is so interesting. Preamble. What greater brutality can we be inflicted on anyone than to erase or deny the spiritual awareness, identity, ability, and memory that is the essence of oneself? Well, there you go. You found your PDF. Come on and help me read this. I'll send you a link. But anyway, if you want, I don't know if you want to, but anyway, let's see. Let's keep going. Mystery induction, the mystery of UFOs and extraterrestrials. There is Nina. Greetings. Thank you. Yes. I was over there watching your show. Very good show. I hope Monday nights or Monday afternoons is a new time, right, Nina? Okay, mystery of UFOs and extraterrestrial. I better get to reading this, or everybody's going to leave me here. If you have studied UFO phenomenon at all, you are already familiar with the infamous Orson Welles radio broadcast of the War of the Worlds and the invasion of Mars on October 30th, 1938. This fictitious radio dramatization of the invasion of Earth by aliens incited a global UFO and extraterrestrial hysteria long before a UFO crash near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. Yeah, okay. So, okay, hang on. We are going to do something here. Sorry, everybody. Boom, boom, boom. I gotta do stuff. Anyway, come on. Things take a little longer when you try to do stuff. But anyway, I hope you're all going to enjoy this. There we go. Okay, back to the thing. I hope I kept y'all entertained. Talk amongst yourselves, as Wayne would say. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, don't forget to tune in to our Wayne Steiger tomorrow at whatever, it'd be noon Central, it'd be like 10 o'clock Pacific and 1 o'clock. I'm all messed up now. Be something in there, but anyway, Eastern time. Okay, back to where we were. Okay, during the past 60 years since the alleged Roswell crash, there has been tens of thousands of reported UFO sightings. A global hysteria has emerged from the evidence. Yes, go to Roswell, New Mexico, and you'll find out of what is assumed to be extraterrestrial phenomenon. Currently, the unrelating denial of the phenomenon by the U.S. government, they always deny everything, has precipitated an uninterrupted flurry of accusations, counter-accusations, cover-ups, conspiracy theories invented by the CIA, nonetheless, and lunatic fringe speculations, scientific investigations, and growing multitude of similar alleged close encounters. My first thought when I received, this is the guy talking, my first thought when I received a package of documents from Miss McElroy was, this is just another set of Majestic 12 documents. I am referring to the mysterious package reportedly referred to in the mail in the 1984, shortly after the death of the last surviving member of the so-called Majestic 12 committee, alleged to have been organized by President Harry Truman himself shortly after the Roswell incident in 1947. There are several similarities to the Majestic 12 documents and the package I received from Miss McElroy. In the case of the former, an envelope was sent from an anonymous sender with no return address. It contained an undeveloped roll of film. That's all. On the roll of film were photos and documents that were assumed to be authentic by a recipient and his colleagues who vested interest in their livelihood, depending heavily on attracting public notice and good credibility to themselves as leading authorities on the subject of UFO phenomena. They have worked restlessly since then to discover proof that the documents are authentic. Of course, government agencies deny everything. Of course they do. Alleged in the documents and everything having to do with it, with the subject of extraterrestrials, UFOs, little green aliens in general. And welcome, Lucky Stone. How are you doing?
I'm trying to catch up where you are. I have the PDF open and I see the page. I'm just finding where you are, and oh, you can't hear me.
Oh yeah, I had to put my headphones on now.
I was trying to catch up where you are in the book. That's all. I'm following along.
Yep, page 10. I think I'm gonna.
There.
Okay, I'm gonna. I think this is kind of important, so I'm gonna go through some of this stuff. I'll read this stuff, and then when it gets to the thing, it goes like questions and answers there for a while, and that'll be great if you want to take questions and one of us do answers and one of us do questions. That'd be pretty good. Nina says it's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join her tomorrow on our Wayne Steiger channel. Anyway, okay. And okay, we're gonna go back to share, and so I can put this all together. I guess you're just gonna have to sit there patiently and get done with this. I'll go fast. If you got anything you need to bring up, disagree with, or have a comment on, just let me know. Don't be afraid to butt in. Okay. Okay, in addition, the subject has become so thoroughly overwhelmed with obvious false reports, discredited sources, hearsay, manufactured falsehoods, misunderstandings, misinformation, added inapplicable information, and a myriad of other conflicting complexities, which have made this subject laughable or unapproachable as a science. This may be intentional or simply a reflection of the general chaos and barbarism that is humanity. Of course, we all pick on each other. And you seen green aliens? Ha! Yeah, you're crazy. Go to the mental hospital. Take some good drugs and you won't see aliens at all. You'll just see the boogeyman coming out of the wall. Anyway, as the government denials and cover-ups and the events of September 11, 2001 have made it abundantly apparent to me that the U.S. government has destroyed any vestige of trust in the American people. Oh, you can say that again. And the world may have harbored, even throughout the Vietnam War, Watergate, and many similar betrayals in honesty of the American government, military, and intelligence community by blatantly lying to its own people about almost anything and everything. In spite of the vast number of UFO sightings, innumerable reports of alien abductions, and close encounters with extraterrestrials, if you watch the movie, and that pervade nearly all of prehistoric and recorded human history, I found only one underlying, unifying, and undisputable anatomic common denominator that preeminates all of this data. Assuming that the subject, reality, or beliefs of individuals is acceptable evidence, there has been no universally agreed upon proof that UFOs or extraterrestrial life forms exist, whether based on government admission, physical events, circumstantial, or subjective data. There are several deductions I can infer from the lack of agreement, government admission, or physical evidence that such things are real, if verified, may lead to a workable solution to this mystery. Now, they haven't watched Fox News where they were showing the aliens, and this is an older book, so hey, they didn't see it on TV, so it must not happen. Is that not true? Oh, I'm going to skip over that bunch of stuff here. Fortunately, personally, I'm not assuming anything. Let's just go to this part here. Personally, I'm not assuming anything that anything I receive from Mr. Elroy is in any way authentic, and with the exception of the envelope and the paper inside the envelope, I cannot substantiate any of it. Indeed, I can truly verify that there was ever a person as Miss McElroy other than the voice I heard over the phone in 1998. The voice could have been anyone. Personally, I do not have a vested interest in UFO research. Yes, I've written a few books about immortal spiritual beings because I'm interested in that subject, but I haven't sold enough of those books to pay for the time it took to write them. It is a hobby. I earn my living as a small business consultant. Now, remember what I told everybody, y'all, earlier, that this was, a maybe. You'd take it as truth, and maybe it was one of those conspiracy CIA guys writing it and sending it to him. Lucky, do you agree?
That makes a lot of sense.
It could be. And then again, it could be the real thing. He says here, moreover, I've burned all the original documents, including the envelope I received from Miss McElroy. I do not want to spend the rest of my life behind a hound of UFO researchers, government agents, grocery store tabloids, reporters, UFO advocates, and debunkers, like or anyone else. Any proof or attempts to authenticate the assertion that Mrs. McElroy actually interviewed an alien in 1947 will have to be done by others. Okay, and like I said, see, that's the part I read. Okay, we're gonna skip over a lot of this. We're just gonna get right to
That's
the
crazy.
what?
He should just given it away to someone else. It's okay, no longer I promise. Rather than burning it, oh well. He chose to be in choice.
See, that's the part where it makes me go, really? Oh, let's see. We got to go back to this part here.
Yeah, I read this a long time ago, but I don't remember any of this.
Really? Yeah. It's been a while.
I zipped through it though. I just looked at it as more of an entertainment piece than anything else.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this is one of those things, when the author says, yeah, I had the original stuff and I burned it all. I don't know if any of it's true. Miss McElroy, does she, like you were pointing out last night, some of the facts. What were those facts again? I'm going to stop sharing.
Basically her title as an army, she was supposed to be army, and she was an army nurse, but her title was that for a Air Force nurse, but not in 1947, an Air Force nurse in 1957 or 58 actually.
Yeah.
And then her rank didn't make any sense. She doesn't exist anywhere in Roswell.
Yeah.
And it was something else that just don't match. But I was thinking to the fact that maybe information like that is out there, and they wanted to catch it before it got out there, and they made her up. That there really was a male nurse or a male army officer who wrote this stuff down. It got lost. They don't know where it is, so they wanted to basically tell the whole story, mess things up a bit, because if it gets out there, they'll go, well, I've already heard this story. But it's been the real story is probably boring, not anything exciting. But they add exciting elements to it to make her story much more interesting to cover up the real story. That was my idea, that the real story was going to be released, but it didn't get released because it was boring.
Well, that and the fact that we might be right, or like my thought is that this wasn't Roswell. It was a different 100%. Place. And because the military's all, any UFO comes down, alien thing, there's been bunches, and where the military, especially for a while there was, they would respond to all of these different ones. It could have been multitudes of different ones, and this is just one event. It could have been a guy instead of a gal. And maybe it was a gal, but the names have all changed. And like you said,
Right.
there's probably hidden clues in the story that, like you said, oh, well, it was the Air Force. Well, that means that it was later. So it could have been in the 50s, right?
Yep.
And then if you put it in that respect, okay, well, then how old would this lady be in 1998? You know,
Oh,
if you figured she was in the 40s and she was say 25 or something, so by year 2000 she would have been 70 some odd years old or 80 years old, or how old was she? And you start thinking, well, time.
good
See,
point.
you start adding up the dates and you can kind of, well, how old is she? She's a nurse, so she had to go through some schooling. You don't just become 18 and, well, you're a nurse, congratulations, you have 1 year of classes. See what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah. I've also heard that the Roswell story with the bodies didn't come up until somewhere around 2000 anyways, that there
Hmm.
were no bodies, that the Roswell crash was just material.
Yeah, but there
Because
was also, they
yeah.
also said there was two crashes that day.
Oh, no, yeah,
uh
the other crash, exactly. That's the Roswell crash that we know all about is the misnomer, which there was a crash, but all the information we collect is actually from a whole different crash at other times. You just
yeah.
compiled them here because they can debunk this one easily.
Yes, exactly. What better way to debunk it than if there's two crashes and maybe one was a weather balloon and the ship ran into the weather balloon and the weather balloon crashed and the guy who, somebody, and then, what I mean, the paths get
Yep.
crossed and it's an easy way to manipulate the narrative. And I mean, there was crashes in Ohio. I read once where there was a crash in Ohio somewhere and they cordoned off like the whole town or a section of
Wow.
woods, and the military came out in the middle of the night and so forth and so on. And you got to start wondering, well, what happened to that crash? What happened to some of these other crashes? What happened? Why did the military respond? I mean, especially back in the 40s, 50s, early, maybe in the 60s too, there wasn't communication like there is today.
Mhm.
Today, you got some idiot out there walking around with a cell phone, which is a camera, a communication device. I mean, he takes a picture and instantaneously sends it up on the internet, and it's all over the freaking world in 2.2 seconds.
Absolutely.
Back then, who had a camera? Oh, I'll run back to the house, Martha. We'll get a camera. Hold them little aliens up. Tell them to wait a few minutes while we get a camera, take their picture.
Mhm. It was very expensive too. Every picture you took was had to be hand developed by you.
Yeah. Well, and I know when I was a kid, I'd like to take pictures, but I'd buy a roll of film, I'd save up my money, I'd buy a roll of film, and I'd take, oh, I got 20 pictures to take. And I had to make each one special. It had to be perfect because, I took them too fast and now I don't have any more film and my day is only half done. Yeah. And then it costs a fortune to develop all that. I mean, it wasn't
Even
cheap.
yeah, my father worked for Polaroid, so we had Polaroid cameras, but
Yep.
even then, the film was very expensive. You had
Yeah.
10 pictures to take, and if you
Yeah.
messed it up,
Yeah.
that's now you have 9 pictures to take. It was
I mean, my grandma had a Polaroid
uh,
and it was exactly the same way. She would be really cautious on what pictures, oh, there's a special time. Everybody get together and we'll get you all in the picture. And then you take a picture and then she'd wait. Oh, that one turned out good.
mhm,
But that's it. It's going back in the closet.
yep, yep, yep. And then
Yeah.
yeah, and it was a lot cheaper to use the film camera because you had a couple choice. It was just even my father worked for it. He had a film camera because he just said it was just he'd use both of them, but the Polaroid was for special, stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So anyway, getting back on with this, um, like I said, this is just our first section of this, and we'll get back to it. The next couple of days, we're going to try to get this book read. Okay, I'll do. You want to do some, or you want me to finish this part up?
I lost where you are.
Oh, okay. I'm on page where it was
You're on page 13,
15,
right? Or
15,
15.
15. Start of 15.
Start at 15. Okay. Okay, I can read this.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
In short, scientists suffered from the inability and or unwillingness to perceive or explain spiritual activities. Therefore, the discussion of spiritual activities or spiritual universe in this book are expected to be understood only by those who can and will perceive such things. According to the time spans related by the aliens in several of the interviews, there are a number of compelling and therefore unknown reasons that suggest the possibilities that many extraordinary miscalculations have been made by Earth scientists regarding the origins and antiquity of the universe, Earth, life forms, and events. Of course, these may or may not be accurate either, as time and its ugly stepchild history are largely subjective. That is so true.
Yep.
However, it can be observed that by contrast with interstellar or macrocosmic time, the historical perspective of residents of Earth is limited to a relative microscopic period of time compared to what are considered to be recent events in the chronology of an in space does not of a space time space travel of a space travel civilization, much less the entire time span of the universe. The geological record of Earth is reckoned by the best guess of scientists to be only about 4 billion years. The antiquity of Homo sapiens in the archaeological textbook is estimated to be only a few million years at most. Even the entire biological spectrum is considered to have existed on this planet for only a few 100 million years, as by and large the personal memory of individual beings on this planet is limited to only one lifetime. All other dates, events, or interpretations of events cited in this book are for terrestrial sources, which are purely subjective observation, conjecture, or inventions of human beings, including those of the author, and must therefore be credited or disregarded by the reader accordingly, considering the percent of Earth inhabitants by myopia, egocentricity, and general ignorance of several universes in which we dwell. The book is intended to be an informational, no, book is intended to be an informal presentation of information provided by me 60 years after the fact of the series of interviews between an alien spacecraft officer, pilot, and engineer, and an Army Air Force surgical nurse.
Hmm.
That's it.
Well, that is interesting. Like I said, oh boy, she's got a long list here.
Yeah.
Let's just read the first paragraph here, and then that'll kind of sum it up here. I'll just do this a little bit.
Cool.
Since this is her kind of her biography. Guys can go back if you want the PDF. I'll send it to you, and you can read all the fine print. We're just kind of giving you the thing about Mrs. McElroy because she may or may not be a real person. We don't know. He's basically saying in this little bit that, he may have made some stuff up. He lost the original stuff. He got rid of it, and you have to believe him or whatever. And that's what I guess makes this a science fiction thing. Okay, since I've never met Miss McElroy in person, and I spoke with her over the phone only once for about 20 minutes, I cannot vouch personally for her as a credible source of information. In fact, I cannot factually substantiate that such a person actually existed, and neither can we, except that I did speak with her on the phone and received a handwritten material in the mail, which was sent from a physical address in Ireland. When I spoke with her on the phone in 1998, I was living in Florida. At the time of our brief phone interview, Miss McElroy lived on Scotty Pride Drive in Glasgow, Montana. I know this because I mailed a copy of my book, The Oz Factors, to her as a gift after it was published in 1999. I have not read that book either. I am sure she received the book because she refers to it by name in the letter I received from Ireland, and it says that she read it. I did a little research on the internet about Glasgow, Montana for my own interest. It's way out there in the middle of nowhere, people. Glasgow was founded in 1887 as a railroad town that became popular during the 1930s because President FDR requested that the Fort Peck Dam be constructed there, which became a huge source of employment for the Glasgow area. In 1960s, the population flourished up to 12,000 because of Glasgow Air Force Base, which was used during the Vietnam conflict in the earlier part of the Cold War. The base was deactivated and closed in 1969. She goes on. She mentioned she relocated there by the U.S. Air Force. And still it doesn't really tell. It could have been anywhere. She was in New Mexico in 1947. So, like I said, what's the chances of her being there, and then the time frame? So, how old would she have been? I guess if you really sit down and start thinking of it, you might be able to come up with a time frame. You know what I mean? But then you can't rely on, all of these things to be true. So that kind of, fuddles it up. Okay.
That's true.
Okay, I'll read a little bit of this, and then when I get tired here after first page or so, I'll let you go. Letters from Elroy. Since
I'm gonna get a glass of water while you're reading. Get a glass of water for myself.
Oh yeah. I don't even know where I want to start. I will die not far from the great mountain. This is just talks about her. We're gonna get right into the story. A lot of footnotes here. Talks about her. Tells her about her personal, where the aircraft have survived the crash. Oh, maybe we want to skip to some of this. Like I said, people, if I read all of this little bits of information, it's gonna take forever. So let's pick a spot here. So yeah, maybe we have to read all this. Many have been killed. Oh gosh, I guess we got to read this. Okay. Dear Mr. Lawrence, I am typing this letter to you on my old Underwood typewriter that I brought after I was discharged from the Army. Somehow it seems like a fitting contrast to the subject of the letter and all its documents you will find enclosed in this envelope. The last time I spoke to you was about 8 years ago. During your brief telephone interview with me, you asked me to assist you with the research for the Oz Factors book you were writing because you suspected that I might know something that would help your investigation into the possibility that extraterrestrial beings may have influenced the history of Earth. When we spoke, I told you I did not have any information that I could share with you about anything. Since then, I've read your book and I found it very interesting and compelling. You are obviously a man who has done his homework and who could understand my own experiences. I've been thinking a lot about your allusion to the old philosopher who paraphrased in our phone conversation, with great power comes great responsibility. Hey, Spider-Man. Although I don't think power is permanent in your life or to my reasons for sending you this enclosed documents. You certainly did get me thinking about my responsibility. I have reconsidered my position for the variety of reasons, not the least of which is my realization that you were right. I do have a responsibility to myself, at least. I cannot possibly tell you the personal hell of ethical irresolution and spiritual oblivience I have endured since 1947. I do not want to keep playing the game of maybe I should have or maybe I shouldn't have through the rest of eternity. Many men have been killed to extinguish the possibility of revealing the knowledge I have helped to withhold from society until now. Only a small handful of people on Earth have seen and heard what I have been burdened of keeping secret for 60 years. All those years, I thought that I had been entrusted with a great deal of confidence by the powers that be in our government. Although I have often felt that the power is greatly misguided to protect mankind from the certain knowledge that not only do intelligent extraterrestrial life forms exist, but that they have and continue to aggressively monitor and invade the lives of everyone on Earth every day. Therefore, I think the time has come to pass along my secret knowledge to someone. I think I think will understand it. I don't think it would be irresponsible of me to take the knowledge I have into the silent afterlife, beyond reach of recognition. I think there is a greater good to be served than protecting the vested interest for whom this information is considered a matter of national security, whatever the means, and is therefore justification for making it top secret. Also, I am now 83 years old. See, there, you can do the math now. I have decided to leave this body, which has outlasted its usefulness to me, using a painless method of self administered euthanasia. I have a very few months to live and nothing to fear or lose. So I have moved away from Montana, where my husband and I lived for almost all my life, to spend our remaining days in a lovely rented upstairs bedroom in a house in the homeland of my husband's family in the country of Meath, Ireland. I will die not far from the great mound at Noth and Douth and fairy mound of darkness. These are sacred cairns, or massive stone structures that were erected about 3,700 BCE and engraved with indecipherable hieroglyphics about the same time as the pyramids and other inexplicable stone monuments were being built all over the earth. I am also not far from the hill of Tara. That was once the ancient seat of power in Ireland, where 142 kings are said to have resigned in prehistoric and historic times. In ancient Irish religion and mythology, this was the sacred place of dwelling for the gods and was the entrance to the other world. You want to go from there?
Sure.
Okay.
St. Patrick came to Tara to conquer the ancient religion of the pagans. He may have suppressed the religious practices in the area, but he certainly did not have any impact on the gods who brought these civilizations to Earth, as you will discover when you read the documents enclosed. Therefore, this is a fitting location for my departure from this unholy world and final release from the burdens of this life. The crystal clear perspective of hindsight has revealed a higher purpose to me, assisting the survival of the planet, all living beings and life forms in our galaxy. The status quo of our government establishment has been to protect the people from knowledge of such matters. In fact, the only protection afforded by ignorance and secrecy is to hide the private agenda of those in power to enslave others, and by doing so, to disarm every perceived enemy and ally through superstition and stupidity. Well, this I agree with.
Yeah.
Therefore, I have enclosed the original and only existing copies of my personal notes and reflections on a matter which I have kept hidden from everyone, even my own family. I have also enclosed my copy of typed transcript created by by the stenographer who transcribed all of my interviews with the alien saucer pilot after each interview was finished. I do not have any copies of the tape recordings that were made of my interview reports. No one until now knows that I have able to secretly retain copies of the official interview transcripts. Now I have entrusted these documents to your discretion to impart to the world in any form matter you see fit. My only request is that you do so in a way that will not threaten your own life or well-being, if possible. If you were to incorporate these notes of my experiences into a work of fiction, such as a novel, the factual nature of the material could be easily dismissed or discredited by any agency of whom national security is used as a personal shield against scrutiny and injustice. This makes okay. This
See, that's just what we talked about. Like I said, if I was that guy, I'd been changing a whole mess of stuff. Okay.
okay. I can. Yeah. In doing so, you could disavow any knowledge of their true origin and claim that it was a fictional work of your imagination. Whoever said this truth is stranger than fiction was right as rain. For most people, all of this will be unbelievable. Unfortunately, beliefs are not a reliable criteria for reality. Yeah, this all makes total sense. Want me to keep going?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you just tell me when you want to take a break.
sure. Also, I'm sure that if you were to show these notes to anyone that would prefer physical, economic, or spiritual slavery over freedom, the subject matter contained in them would seem quite objectionable. If you attempted to publish the document as a matter of factual reporting in a newspaper or the evening TV news, they would be rejected out of hand as the work of a kook. The very nature of these documents make them unbelievable and therefore discreditable. Conversely, the release of this information is potentially catastrophic for certain political, religious, and economic vested interests. These documents contain information which is quite relevant to your interest in investigations into alien encounters and paranormal experiences. To use your analogy in the Oz Factor book, I can honestly say that the few factual reports that have been made by others about aliens influences are only a gentle breeze in the eyes of an apostolic hurricane, no, of an apocalyptic hurricane whirling around Earth. There really are wizards and wicked witches and flying monkeys in the universe. This information, which has been suspected and or speculated upon by so many for so long, has been constantly denied by mainstream media, academia, and the military-industrial complex. The President Eisenhower warned us about it in his farewell address. As you know, in July 1947, the Roswell Army Air Force issued a press release stating that personnel from the Field's 509th Bomb Group had recovered a crash flying disc from the ranch near Roswell, New Mexico, sparking intense media interest. Later the same day, Commander General of the 8th Air Force stated that Major Jesse Marcel, who was involved with the original recovery of the debris, has recovered only the tattered remnants of a weather balloon. The true facts of the incident has been suppressed by the United States government since then. You may not know that I was enlisted in the U.S. Women's Air Force. Oh wait, oh no, in the Women's Army Air Force Medical Corps, which was a part of the U.S. Army back then. I was assigned to the 509 Bomb Group as a flight nurse at the time of the incidents. When the news that there had been a crash was received at the base, I was asked to accompany Dr. Cavett, the counterintelligence officer, to the crash site as a driver of this vehicle, and to render any needed emergency medical assistance to any survivors, if necessary. Therefore, I briefly witnessed the wreckage of an alien spacecraft as well as the remnants of several alien personnel aboard the craft who were already dead. When we arrived, I learned that one of the personnel on board of the craft had survived the crash and was conscious and apparently uninjured. The conscious alien was similar in appearance but not the same as the others. None of the other personnel present could communicate with the survivor, as the being did not communicate verbally or by any recognizable signs. However, while I examined the patient for injuries, I immediately detected and understood that the alien being was attempting to communicate with me by mental images or telepathic thought, which projected directly into the mind of the being. I immediately reported this phenomena to Mr. Cavett, as no other personnel present could perceive the thoughts, and the alien seemed able and willing to communicate with me. It was decided After a brief consultation with the senior officer that I was accompanied, the surviving alien back to the base. This was partly due to the fact that I was a nurse and could attend to the physical needs of the alien as well as serve as a non-threatening communicator in compassion. After all, I was the only woman at the site and the only one who was not armed. I was therefore assigned permanently to serve as the companion of the alien at all times. My duty was to communicate with and interview the alien and to make a complete report of all that I discovered to command authorities. Subsequently, I was supplied with a specific list of questions provided to me by military and non-military personnel, which I was to interpret for the alien and record the response to the questions provided. I also accompanied the alien at all times during medical testing and many other examinations to which the alien was subjected by staff from numerous government agencies. I was given a promotion in rank to senior master sergeant to improve my security rating and to increase my pay grade from $54 a month to $138 a month. Was very unusual assignment. I performed these duties from July 7th through August 1947, at which time the alien died or departed the body, as you will read about in my notes. Although I was never left entirely alone with the alien, and there were always military personnel, intelligence agents, people, and variety of other officials present from time to time, I did have uninterrupted access to any and communications with the alien being for nearly 6 weeks. Hereinafter is an overview of the summary of the personnel recollections of the conversations with the alien craft pilot, with whom to know by the identity of Errol. I feel that this is the duty at this time. It is the best interest of citizens of Earth to reveal what I have learned from my interaction with Errol during those 6 weeks of the anniversary of her death or departure 60 years ago. Although I served as a nurse in the Army Air Force, I am not a pilot or technician. Furthermore, I do not have any direct contact with the spacecraft or any material recovered from the crash site at that time or thereafter. To that degree, it must be taken into consideration that my understanding of the communications I had with Errol are based on my own subjective ability to interpret the meaning of the thoughts and mental images I was able to perceive.
Wow, what do you get out of all of that?
It makes a lot of sense. That's the problem with this.
Yeah,
if you're going to communicate with someone from another culture, let alone another language, if you communicate in thoughts, in symbols, in perceptions, I mean, that means a lot. I mean, it makes things. I mean, when I speak to spirits, it's always through subject, through ideas, and it's weird. But that's similar to how she's speaking to the alien. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And unfortunately, that's when I read this. It made a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, it is, whoever put this together, either they had a really good base, or they put it together really well from something else that was true. Because the best stories that make sense and are believable are ones that are partly true, because you can't debunk them. I mean, they make sense to you. It was kind of like when I read this, all I kept thinking was hieroglyphics, like the Egyptians used, with the little birds and the little people and stuff.
Yep.
And I thought, why are you writing like this? And I'm thinking, well, maybe back in the day, people still communicated to some extent with images in their head. And if you were going to create a language and write it down, how else would you write it down? With pictures, right? You wouldn't want to write with letters. You would say, well, that makes no sense. I'm going to write a story with pictures like I see it in my head. How else do I communicate?
Well, that's another thing. It's hieroglyphics. hieroglyphics can be more universal once you get the key. And a lot of these are just symbols, and it's like, I mean, we've always thought the hieroglyphics was more primitive than our writing, but it's just different. I think it's just different. I've been thinking about that a long time, that hieroglyphics was supposed to be like, they were a more primitive idea of how to write. But I think it was just a different path to take.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. Did you ever look at Chinese writing?
Oh, yeah.
And Chinese writing is literally symbols of pictures. It's literally pictures, and then they combine pictures to make what they now call letters. But they're literally, you can decipher more pictures out of these letters and then break it down. And once I found that out, I was like scratching my head thinking, holy cow, this is hieroglyphics, only miniaturized. It's the same thing. Here's a house, and then there's a circle around it, which means the house of the moon or something like that, or whatever. And water, there's symbols for water, and then you just overlay the water on top of the whatever you want, and then that becomes a word.
But that's the funny thing about the Chinese way of writing. It was all over the area. And there were people who spoke totally different languages, and they could not communicate directly, but they communicate with writing. They spoke.
Yeah.
They wrote the same thing. They spoke the same language through writing, but not through words. It was weird. I heard that story a long time ago. That back in the day, back when we didn't have radio and TV, they could communicate with each other only through physical writing, but they couldn't communicate through basic words. It was just weird to me.
Yeah. See, so well, it's like the Native Americans. They had their own sign language, which communicated everybody all together, yet they didn't have a system of writing, nor did they have a same language. So that I thought was really strange too. So basically it boils down to symbols. Again, so I mean, is that just the human way, or is that from something even more ancient?
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe humans originally spoke with concepts and thought, and it was much easier to communicate with thoughts, but something cracked and severed the cord between us, took that ability away.
Yeah, well, it's like animals. How do animals communicate? Yeah, they make little birds tweet and dogs bark, but you ever see a bunch of dogs together? And it's like one does something, then they all follow or whatever. And it's like they're communicating in their heads with the other ones. And it's like, well, how do they all know to do that? Is that just instinct? Or were they just talking to each other? And you kind of look at them like, well, that's strange. How did they all figure that out? I mean, and then we the intelligent people blow it off as they're just critters. They're just following what the other one does. They don't know anything. They're stupid. Or are they? Really?
It's amazing what birds can do. And that's another thing and fish swim in schools.
Yep.
And how do they maintain, they keep changing off who's in the front and who's in the back. And it's all beyond our comprehension.
Yeah.
Birds and fish, with how they school and how they do. I mean, you've seen birds with these beautiful forms going when they're in those big flocks and everything, and that's all choreographed. And we can't think like that. We can't do that. So we have computers to do that. That's about it.
Yeah,
so you're right. It is.
So are they? They're communicating telepathically, possibly. So anyway, okay, let's get back to this and we want to finish this up soon. I don't want to go too late. I got to work tomorrow. So and I'm sure you do too. Okay, here we go. I'll start this one out. Our communication did not consist of spoken language. There we go. In the conventional sense. Indeed, the body of our alien had no mouth. Oh, I said that didn't have a mouth. Oh, yeah, I was right on. Though which to speak. Our communication was by telepathy. At first, I could not understand Errol's very clearly. I could perceive images, motions, and impressions, but it was difficult for me to express these verbally. Once, Errol learn the English language, she was able to focus her thoughts more precisely, using symbols and meanings of words I could understand. Learning the English language was done as a favor to me. It was more for my own benefit than hers. By the end of our interview sessions, and increasingly since then, I have become more comfortable with the telepathic communication. I've become more adept at understanding Ariel's thoughts as though they were my own. Somehow, her thoughts became my thoughts because emotions are my emotions. However, this is limited by her willingness and intention to share her own personal universe with me. She is able to be selective about what communication I am allowed to receive from her. Likewise, her experience, training, education, relationships, and purposes are uniquely her own. This is the symbol of the Dominion. The Dominion is a race of civilization of which Ariel, the alien I interviewed, is an officer, pilot, engineer, serving in the domain expeditionary air or expeditionary force. I can't pronounce that word the darn. The symbol represents the origin and the unlimited boundary of the known universe, united and integrated into a vast civilization under the control of the domain. See, now here's the symbol. We were talking about, me and Delabar were talking about these symbols last night and saying, well, how do we know that some of these symbols aren't just the logos of corporations or, factions or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. That proves it right there. And see, this is what made it so believable. Is just like the United States has the big star with the circle, or the flag, or whatever they're gonna have. So do other countries. So do corporations. And here we go. They got a symbol that just puts it into reality. Ariel is currently stationed at a base in the asteroid belt, which she refers to as a space station in the solar system of Earth. First and foremost, Ariel is herself. Secondarily, she voluntarily serves as an officer, pilot, and engineer in the main expeditionary force. In that capacity, she has duties and responsibilities, but she is at leave to come and go as she pleases also. Please accept this material and make it known to as many people as possible. I repeat that it is not my intention to endanger your life with the possession of this material, nor do I really expect you to believe any of it either. However, I do sense that you can appreciate the value that such knowledge may have those who are willing and able to face the reality of it. Mankind needs to know the answers to the questions which are contained in these documents. Who are we? Where did we come from? What is our purpose on Earth? Is mankind alone in the universe? If there is intelligent life elsewhere, why have they not contacted us? It is vital that people understand the devastating consequences to our spiritual, physical survival if we fail to take effective action to undo the long-standing, persuasive effects of alien intervention on Earth. Perhaps the information of these documents will serve as a stepping stone to better future for mankind. I hope that you can be more clever, creative, and courageous in the distribution of this information than I have been. But may the gods bless you, keep you. Miss Matilda O'Donnell McElroy, Senior Master Sergeant, Women's Army, Air Force Medical Corps, retired. And there's her address. In Ireland. And there's our first chapter. This is where I wanted to get to. So good deal. Okay. Well, believe it or not, we are at 10 o'clock already. How fast it went.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least we got through that. Now remember, we're going on. We're going to do this tomorrow again, and you're welcome to join me if you want. But anyway, or anybody else. I know you probably got to work. Don't you work nights?
Yeah, I work. I'll be at work. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm on call, so who knows what'll happen. But anyway, I wanted to get this out there, and I'm hoping that I can either record some or do some lives, and I got to put a little more effort into some of this. So I've been kind of on a sabbatical for the last few weeks. I was just kind of maybe burnt out or tired or something, maybe a little bit of both. But
Probably.
hey, I've been doing a lot of shows, so there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really enjoy this. I hope you are too. What you got anything to say about this? I mean, this has been very interesting. What do you think?
It is a lot to it, and it is interesting, and it's so because I also read Whitley Strieber's book Contact, but I learned that in like the late '80s, early '90s, literally
Mm-hmm.
probably '88,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives an air of that about but those aliens sampled off of him, and
Mm-hmm.
he hated them in the beginning, but he grew to appreciate them later. And this is just her interviewing one. So I'm wondering if he used some of that information to write this, or is this the same group of aliens, but they're much more, in the beginning, they were much more kinder to humans. I don't know. There's a
I don't
lot.
know.
There's a lot.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I mean, the first part of this, it basically telling you, the government. I mean, everything in here was really appealing to me,
Mhm.
and that had me kind of weary because I'm like, oh,
Exactly.
it's just right. It's what I wanted to hear.
It's too good. That's my
Yes.
problem initially, and that's what I read it the first time. But again, I read this a while ago, and I think I didn't even take it seriously, or I read it and just didn't read it well. But I used to read in for pleasure, not for information sources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing it's too good, and then that could be the writer, because think about it, he's putting it out there. Hey, Roswell. Once you mention Roswell, you've got a huge crowd right off the bat. And
True.
then you got the alien group. Oh, it's aliens. It doesn't matter where they come from, Roswell or not. And then
Mhm.
it's a bunch of conspiracy people want to hear. And what do I want to hear? I want to hear that the government's lying to me. I want to hear that our history is all fake and that we need to learn something new. I want to hear that. I want to believe. Oh, that comes from X-Files.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
And so he uses all those key words. With great power comes great responsibility, right out of the Spider-Man book.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really intriguing and pleasing to my ears. So like I said, it had me from the go. If that guy wanted to catch somebody's attention, he had mine. So like I said, like everybody, you got to take this with a grain of salt. It might be right and it might be wrong, but we're going to continue on tomorrow night, 9 o'clock again. And right or wrong, we're going to listen to this whole book, good or bad.
Mhm.
Make up your own mind. If you want the PDF for it, I have it. Lucky you got it too. So
I have it
that's
too. Yep. Yep. I definitely have
I'm
it.
awesome. So like I said, go out, get the book. If you want to order your own hard copy, this is no way a sale for the book at all. Like I said, just going through the book. Wayne Steiger inspired me with this book, and I enjoyed it so much. I want to share it with all of you. That's kind of what it boils down to. Nothing more than that.
Mhm.
So with that, everybody, I don't want to hold you up because we'll see you tomorrow night right here. And go out and do something nice for somebody. Be nice to other people. Hey, you only got one life to live here in this physical body. And then if you reincarnate, you reincarnate. And then you got to do it all over again. So you might as well enjoy this one and be nice to people, because somebody might be nice to you too. And that's just the way it goes. So go out and remember, be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. I love you all. Peace, everybody.